Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the next installment in our Music School Business Builder videos. I'd like to introduce my awesome friend, Sam Blakely. Hello, Sam.
Hi, David.
This is nice. This is good. Sam has been a revelation to Presto Music School. Today's talk is all about marketing, branding, and really capitalizing on your USP, your unique selling point, and why would people come to you, and how do you use marketing ideas, branding ideas to make the very most and bring out the best in what you bring to your students, what your school brings to the wider community, and how do you get that message out? And that is what this young lady is supremely good at.
Apparently.
So, no. So, Sam, the first thing that we have to point out, I would say, is why we wanted to get you involved in the first place. So just to put a little bit of background in, so at Presto Music School, we got to the point where we taught thousands of students, but I personally, as the director of the school, felt as though there was a disconnect between the message that we were trying to put out and the message that everybody else could see. So we were trying to say, this is us, but because we were busy, very busy, trying to get the message out in the way that you want it, or the way that we wanted, was so difficult. So can you please give everybody a quick, or as long as you wish, overview on what you spotted in Presto Music School and what you felt you thought we needed?
Okay. What I spotted in Presto Music School. So, as another little bit of backstory, my son obviously was a student at Presto Music School and you were his tutor.
Yep.
So, the first thing that struck me, even before we started working together, was your energy and what you brought to the school. So I witnessed obviously you're teaching all the students, and then you'd come out and you'd address the parents, and your way, your energy, you were the brand for that school. Because of course, even though I'm sat there as a parent doing the job I was doing, I was thinking, wow, what a great ambassador for a business. This creative energy, inspiration, because my son would come home and be, David this, David that, David said this, and it was exciting, and you
She's very
instilled
kind.
that.
She's very kind.
But you instilled that, and to see all those little faces coming out of a classroom, most of them, 90%, some had switched off because they were tired.
They were only little.
They were only little, very little. But to see their little faces with all that energy. Anyway, so that's kind of, I suppose, the first insight into what then I was able to bring to branding and marketing the school, because essentially for me, you were the essence of the Presto brand.
I would like to interject, if I may. I am honoured that you would say such things. That's very nice. As you know, I mean, Presto Music School's always been about teamwork. I mean, how many times do we say you can't be in a band if you don't work as a team?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I absolutely get that, in so much that there was a way that I wanted our teachers to teach, and a lot of our teachers were actually ex-students. They've gone through the whole system, and I think a lot of that is just down to the fact that we wanted to make the lessons as inclusive and as fun as possible. Serious music, serious fun has been our tagline for a long time, and I am flattered that you say that.
Well, the what you're driving at there as well in the teamwork is absolutely right and king. So rewinding, I'm talking about my first introduction to the school and my son's tutor, which was you.
Mm.
Then, of course, as things evolved and we ended up working together, then it became so apparent to me that the whole ethos of the school, and that there is so much of a team spirit. and that it is about, you know, all of the excuse me, all of the qualities that each member of staff brings, whether that's, you know, from Rob as a school manager, or, you know, Chris doing the role that he does, designing courses and things like that, the admin staff, all of the amazing tutors. Every single role is pivotal to creating a fantastic business. And so, you know, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit here, but from a complete customer journey, you know, doing the branding and marketing up front and getting inspiring students to come and enjoy amazing lessons at Presto Music School is one thing, but then when they're there, it's got to be fulfilling and rewarding, and obviously they've got to progress, which is all the easy stuff because you guys are all brilliant at all that. But then, you know, keeping an arm around them at every single stage, and it takes a team effort to do that. So now that I'm much more involved from a working perspective, I see all of those nuts and bolts and those cogs and how it all works. But ultimately, as well, I mean, it is teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work, 100%. I am a massive believer in that. But also, ethos comes usually from one or two specific people. And the business is what it is because of your attitude, your drive, your positivity. In my opinion, that's, you know, so even now, I would still say, you know, when I write about the school, when I create for the school, when I think about how we can market the school, it comes from the heart, and it comes so easily because you are my front of mind, because you are the brand, and all of those, of all of your personal brand qualities are absolutely what are bled through the school. So it makes it very easy for me to write about the school because I'm writing from the heart about all the things I know you believe in. Does that make sense?
Genuinely, I didn't know she was going to say this. So that is pivotal to step one, which is know yourself, know your USP. And if you don't know your USP, if you don't know your unique selling points, then we can work with you to identify what it is that you do which is better than anybody else. And remember, there is only one you. There is only what you. Nobody does what you can do better than you can. And I think it's too easy for a teacher to sort of think or say, yeah, but who am I? I'm just sort of like just some teacher somewhere. But somebody will connect with you. Somebody will connect with you in a way that no other person can say. In fact, we were talking before about how we choose our team in the first place. And one of our favorite ways of recruiting new teachers is to have ex-students, because first of all, we know their pedigree, we know their quality, we know them as people, but they know us, and they've grown up through our culture in the school: happy, bright, lively, positive, fun, all these things. And you may have a teacher who comes to you for a job in your school, or you know, you could perhaps apply this to yourself if you're a solo teacher. You may be diploma level, master's level performer, but if you can't connect with your students, without that connection, the whole thing will fall apart. You're better off having somebody who can connect with young students, or students of any age, in a way that actually listens, in a way that actually connects with the student, and that way, through building that rapport, you can actually make progress with them.
People, I mean, there's so many things that you said that are spot on, and it's that when you were talking before about being the go-to person, people buy from people at the end of the day. 100%. So I totally understand when you're talking to, say, music teachers who can benefit in the same ways, and you tapped into it perfectly by saying they might be thinking, you know, yeah, but who am I just do this, I just do that. But who you are is absolutely awesome and amazing to somebody. So, you know, it takes all types of different people, and different people suit different people, especially in a learning setting, of course, in a learning setting, because there are so many different ways that students learn. And one of the most amazing things about Presto that I can say from a parent perspective is that those ways of learning are completely tapped into, aren't they? They're sort of, because you have that background, you have that understanding from your own personal experience as well. There's quite a lot I know about this man. That you have made it a mission to make sure that every child can learn from the system, but in a way that's tailored to them, and make sure that they understand it, so they're not feeling left out, or they're the only ones that don't get it, or every child is way of learning is cheerleaded, and that to me is a huge tick. So
it's the thing we're trying to achieve. It is our main mission. The MO for Presto is to make music as accessible, as intuitive, and as available as possible to everybody. So, step one: know yourself, know your USP. Use it. If you're unsure of it, then of course work with us to create it, to discover it, to capitalize on it, and then use it to be the beginnings of your brand, and therefore your core identity. And if you know yourself, then your students, your future customers, will begin to know you and then trust you. And it's on that trust from which things then build.
Absolutely.
Next, step two. I think one of the most important things, which was the beginning of us working together, was the fact that the first thing I noticed about you, Sam, from a professional perspective, was that you were truly listening. We've talked much, so we've the reason that we're here today is because we've been working on some of our Rhythm Warrior promo work stuff today. So the Rhythm Warriors project is our new cartoon series. More about that in future videos, but it's a massive multi-million-dollar project, which has really been my life's work about getting music education to as wide a range and as many little ones as possible. And whilst we were talking about that earlier, we were talking about listening and connecting with the person who you are dealing with, whether that's a customer or whatever the case may be. And we often talk about in our training about making sure that the person that you are communicating with, whether you're teaching to them, whatever, make sure they're receiving on the same wavelength that you're transmitting on. Because if you're transmitting BBC One but they're actually tuned into Sky One, nobody's going to see anything. So we have to make sure that if the student isn't receiving on that channel, we have to change the channel that we are transmitting on. If a student doesn't understand the way that you present something, then you have to change the way that you're presenting. It's not their fault. And in the exact same way, on a business to business perspective for marketing, branding, and so on, that is precisely what you did. You received, we sent out, this is what we want to do. You listened, but then you did it in such a way where you took all our core identities and the things that we wanted to put across, and then you managed to draw together an element of character, personality, from a visual perspective and a message perspective. You pulled it all together, and then you turn that into a far more cohesive, visible, obvious brand that wasn't there before. But you created uniquely, because you did it, you created something uniquely that was undeniably Presto. But we didn't create it. It was there in the background, and this is the neat thing about working with Sam. Or so I mean, this is throughout all this chat today, we'll talk about Sam's amazing stuff. I mean, socials. Sam's social links will be in there. Presto's socials links are in there. But you could use the Rhythm Warriors project to build and put students in your school. It's awesome. There's tons of free marketing in there, tons of free support. We don't have to use it, but it's the core elements that we cover today, which if you implement into your school, your teaching business, will massively benefit. Anyway, so we'll put Sam's socials in there. The point I was making was, when you work with somebody who listens, they will then truly bring about what you were trying to put across in the first place. Can you speak on that, Sam?
I felt that, like I said, for all the reasons I said earlier, in having an understanding of the school and the ethos and you and the teachers from the outset, then working with you, I essentially had the perfect gift. The gift was already created. I just needed to gift wrap it beautifully and present it in the right way. And so, you know, a lot of my job was arguably made quite easy there because it wasn't something that needed building from the ground up.
Or difficult working with us in the first place.
more of that
OCD.
later. So from a branding point of view, like I say, yeah, it was a gift that was easy to gift wrap. But yes, obviously, you know, being sensible, it needs a lot of thinking about, you know, who are we talking to? Well, we've got two audiences, haven't we? We've got the children, who are anything between sort of age 3, 4 to 18 plus, really, because obviously you can have adult students as well, but broadly speaking, 4 to 18. And then chiefly, obviously, the parents. So, you know, you've got two different ways of communicating. You've got your different channels and platforms for doing that. And ultimately, how we talk to those people, it's my job is to get under the skin of everything. You know, the deeper in, the more I understand about the business. So having witnessed it from a parent perspective obviously gave me really, really great insight. And that's what I undertake to do with anybody that I work with, is the more I understand the operations. It's not just about, oh right, okay, well let's see how we can brand this and get it out there and job done. You know, there's so much more to it than that. The mechanics, the operations, the team, pricing, how people are greeted at the front door, you know, the whole process of even taking a phone call for an inquiry. You know, how is that managed? What's the next step? How is that converted? And so on and so on. There are so many aspects to it, which I feel it's really important for me to understand all of that, to then, because that helps me to shape the brand story. Because if I say in a post or in a blog or in an ad, Presto Music are this is what you can expect from lessons at Presto Music, then I expect that to be delivered.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have to in my capacity necessarily worry whether that's delivered, but I want to be able to say from the heart, truly and honestly, this is what you can expect, and I know Presto are going to deliver that, and they do. So yeah, as I say, so the brand story was there to be told. It just needed having the right light shone on it. So creating the branding, being consistent. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Being consistent in all of your marketing communications is so important. And being authentic and true to your values, and coming back to the branding and knowing who you are. When you've kind of unpicked that and put it back together and said, you know, if you need to unpick it, some people are very clear on who they are, what they want to do, and what they want to achieve. But if you need a little bit of support with that understanding, you get to that point, and then you've got the DNA of what makes you and or the business tick.
Yeah.
And then the rest is just about making sure that everything's consistent and you stay authentic to what you're saying and doing. And frankly, from there, Bob's your uncle, really. You know, if you're delivering the product and the service well, then, you know, that's the hard work, isn't it?
Yeah. In this session, we are talking about how to capitalize on marketing in general for yourself as an individual teacher or your school. Whether you're looking at getting somebody in like we did with Sam, we're very glad that we did, or whether you're looking at doing all the marketing and branding for your school or your solo teaching venture yourself, whatever it is you're doing, today's conversation is all about what kind of things do you need to be looking at within your business, within your teaching, to draw more students to you. We need Sam in our business. That, you know, it's that element of expertise, that element of creativity, and that view that Sam brings to the party, where she looks at the company as a whole and draws it all together with your experience. That's what we needed to be able to brand ourselves in the way that we hoped we could do. We just didn't know what it looked like. And that's why we got you in the first place. So that's what this is all about today. So my next question for you is, what got you into branding and marketing in the first place? What is it that you wanted to do and bring to the world?
My goodness, there's a question. We haven't got all day.
No.
Well, the short answer is a module at uni.
Right.
And my task was, you'll like this,
Go on.
I had to advertise edible dentures. So we had these really creative products that the tutor invented, soundless doorbells, for instance, edible dentures, things like that. Backstories. Don't you just love a backstory? And that's it. That's the essence of, you know, what people are about, isn't it? And therefore businesses as well. So my project was edible dentures, and this was in a module in amongst lots of other things. This was a foundation course, so it wasn't all just about advertising. This was the first advertising project, if you like. So I had to name them, package them, advertise them, and I absolutely loved it. And literally, to answer the question directly, that was what got me into advertising. And then I ended up going on to do a degree course at uni in design for communication media, as it was called, and just fell in love, I think, because it brought in the very creative and visual element that is one of my strengths. But you know, to be able to be so quirky and creative, and I mean, it was back in the day when, you know, Nick Kamen was selling Levi's jeans in laundrettes, and
Giving you age away.
Absolutely, I know. And the Hamlet guy was sat in the photo booth, you know, with his piece of hair.
Yeah,
you know,
quite iconic ads of the era.
Very iconic ads, yeah. And literally, as you can see, you know, I mean, I spoke with the typographer for a project I was working on. I was quite ballsy. Am I allowed to say that word?
Yeah. Family show.
I was quite I was quite brave and rang the agency, Delaney's, I think it was at the time, and I just asked if I could speak to the typographer of the original Haagen-Dazs ads.
Oh, right.
I said, I'm doing a project and I'd just really like to have a conversation. And he came on the phone and we chatted away, and he was like, look, do you know what? If you want to come down here and have a bit of work experience or anything like that, it just gave me a buzz. Now, fast forward a few years, and don't get me wrong, I love what I do, and I love to genuinely be able to help people. I'll come back to that in a second. There is an element of, I appreciate that for some people, kind of marketing's a bit of a swear word. You know, it's kind of like, oh, you know, people just want to spend your money. That is not the case for plenty of people. And I'm very typical of that. So I used to work in advertising agencies for years, and I loved every minute of it, don't get me wrong. I mean, I learned a hell of a lot of skills. I worked with some incredible people, and I really, really enjoyed it. The side of it I didn't enjoy was the smoke and mirrors and the politics. So setting up on my own was an opportunity for me to work with people like you in a really authentic, honest, transparent way. And because that's entirely who you are as a person as well, you know, you realize, don't you, as you get older, you recognize the value in, actually, it's about the people you want to work with as much as the value and the genuine experience you can bring and the benefits you can make for their business. But it's also about being aligned and having synergy of thinking with the person you're working with. I work very closely, as you know, alongside business owners of all shapes and sizes, and that's the reward for me. So, you know, we all have to earn a living, of course, but to be able to work, you know, you inspire me. You know, we work together, we have a working relationship, I have a job to fulfill, but you inspire me in lots of ways as well, and other people that I work with, and that's I suppose the thing I enjoy about it all most still. So and you're always learning. I mean, you know, obviously advertising and marketing has moved on dramatically from the days of Nick Kamen and the laundrette. You know, we didn't have the internet back then. We didn't have social media.
No.
And now
we're not that old.
We're not. No, not quite that old. But look at us now. You know, and I think really the foundations and the grounding of all of those skills, core skills and principles that underlie advertising and target audiences and propositions and unique selling points, they still apply today. They are phrased and worded in slightly different ways these days and apply to lots of different channels, digital channels, etc. But they're still just as strong and relevant today as they were back then.
We have always trained our teachers from the very beginning, when they do their free trial lessons, and this is true for teachers around the world using the Presto Music School Business Builder system, or when we train our own teachers, um, we reinforce over and over and over again that when somebody comes for the very first lesson, when they come for their free trial lesson, so that they can see whether lessons at Presto would be the kind of thing that they would like to do, it's not a sales pitch at the end of the lesson, because that makes it sound like you're trying to sell something to them. And it's not, for us, it's never been like that. The whole thing is win-win-win. Everybody's going to win here, because you send out your message, and especially if you can communicate in a way whereby, if you can express a story of how you got into music or teaching or whatever it is. Lord knows I've been very open about my experience in the past. Check out the link in YouTube for that. But we've always been of the mind whereby we're just going to send a message out about the sort of how we got to the position. Why are we the unique person to teach that particular student, or whatever the case may be, because we've gone through XYZ to bring us to this point, and that's that's now why we are the right person. So it's a level of authority, but all this situation you've gone through is the mess. So we've turned that mess into our message, and by doing that, we present that message to the world through the branding that we did with yourself, Sam. And therefore, when you then teach that first lesson, you're saying, this is who I am, this is who we are, this is how we do it. And by listening so carefully to the needs of the student, but presenting it in the way of the level of authority, or from a position of authority, and training and experience and so on, all things that we can help you with, of course, that student then is thinking, this is awesome, I want to do this. And so the whole question of, oh, do I need to try and sell them lessons? No, all you're doing is you're saying, this is us. And then you draw them to the customers are coming to you. They're being drawn to you because of your positivity and your message, as I say,
and experience and credentials and
all that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No,
absolutely.
So as I say, that's exactly the thing that we can help you on.
Telling the brand story is really important. So obviously we've worked really hard on the visual identity for Presto Music School, but we've also worked hard on the actual storytelling, which is, along the lines of what you were just talking about there, because there's so many different things, there's so many fantastic ingredients to the story, and it's taking those traits, those all the USPs, all the positives, and shaping that into a story that makes sense to the target audience. So you're explaining to them all of the benefits, what they're going to benefit from, how Presto Music School are going to help them and their child, and all the far-reaching ways that it helps as well. So writing the story is something that I find particularly, I love it. I just really love that aspect of it, because just tapping into what is going to really appeal to the people that you really want to get that message to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's about connection, isn't it? If somebody can resonate with your story, then they can align themselves with where you're at or where you were at, and that's the thing that hopefully will get them to come and seek you out. What is your story? How did you get to where you are, and how are you going to attract your future customers, your future students to you? Well, it's through your story, it's through your narrative, it's how you got to where you are today. And therefore, if you can show a point, a result. You can go from 0 to hero with your client, with your student, because they recognize where you were. When I was at college, I was at this point, and now this is where I'm at. And there's so many people around the world can say, "Hey, I'm there now. What? And you're here now. Fantastic! I want to get on that journey. How do I do that journey?" And that's exactly what your story is all about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I've got a question to ask you.
Fire away.
Why Rhythm Warriors?
That's a big question. It's a big answer. I wanted to do more for children with music. I wanted something which was totally inclusive. I wanted children of all learning styles and abilities and concentration levels to be able to be inspired into music creation of some way, even if it was passive, even if it was totally passive. How could we get children interested in music in the first place, where they could just absorb it and do nothing from a practical perspective, but then hopefully in turn inspire them to actually do more? So what was originally what I thought was a good idea, but looking back was a small idea, Rhythm Warriors has turned into an almighty universe.
Literally.
Oh yeah. Of creativity. It's a multi-platform system. There's the game, the book, the ebook, the online learning system, the future major TV series. It's a vast project. Lots of sections of that are coming out now, in fact. But why Rhythm Warriors in the first place? Yes, wanted to reach more children, to share music making with them so that they would get the absolute fundamentals of the beginnings of music, so that, very importantly, they could do something with it. I wanted to start Rhythm Warriors so that children of all learning styles could access it easily and be inspired to go through a step-by-step system in a completely intuitive way. Many of the TV gurus around the world refer to it as edutainment, educational entertainment. So if we entertain first, we get them captivated and interested in music in the first place. And then from there, it morphs into a formal a course. In fact, do you want to pass me the book? There's a book over there. So for example, how much does that look like a plug? That looks like a plug, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, the children can just sit and watch the cartoons. But then, of course, from a teacher's perspective, there's the gorgeous book, which is in production with Emo Front and Presto Music Production, in association with the astonishingly talented Sparky Animation Studios. Check out their works, just incredible. And by making it visually eye-popping,
definitely that.
I mean, I've been showing Sam some of the stuff today, and you look like you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Cartoon for 4-year-olds.
I've been hearing about this for quite some time, keen and very eager to get promoting it and getting in amongst it and helping. And wow, I'm blown away. I'm absolutely blown away.
Really?
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. It's so good. I wish my son was 3 again.
I mean, obviously you can see the work that's gone into it, but you can see from a teacher and a course creator's perspective, you can see why we want to do this. Because if you haven't seen any of it yet, then do check it out. And it continues to roll out, globally now. But when you look at the whole pack and what is available to teachers, from the book to the game to the online resources, this is all about helping students. Yes, they can access it on their own, but imagine this as a resource for teachers and schools, where they've got this almighty wealth of creativity, of multimedia systems to help children of all learning styles, and they just get fixated. We've got I think our youngest student now is 2, and she's just turned 2. And in full disclosure, meet Jojo. In real life, her the voiceover artist for that, Rach, her little one is just obsessed. She loves it, and she's just turned 2, and she will sit and it's reading real music and performing and understanding. Now, obviously, she's not going to do it in the same way that a 4-year-old will, but we've had feedback from so many people who said, well, you got no chance of getting my little one to do this because they won't keep still. And then once they've actually run the system at home with them, they've shown them the materials and they've actually taken part in it, and they've said, brilliant.
Wow. Yeah.
Completely
engaged.
Next episode, please. Next episode, straight onto the next bit, because we've received loads of lovely videos of the camera pointed at their little one, and the little one's absorbed into the lessons, and they're watching and playing along with Tom and Jojo, because it's like a live interactive lesson with these these lovable characters. I think they're lovable.
Absolutely.
I love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
they are lovable.
So why Rhythm Warriors? For that result, can we teach a wide variety of students in the most entertaining, intuitive way possible, to as many children as possible, make it accessible? Well, it's doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's a game changer. Let's be honest, it's an absolute game changer for children worldwide. But you talked about schools before as well. I mean, can you imagine going to primary school and being taught music via this system?
And we should,
wow.
Yeah, and we should say as well, the teacher, the class teacher, can play as big a role or a smaller role as they wish in this. So we run free teacher training in how to run the Rhythm Warriors Piano Zone system in your school, and whether you're in a private school or a primary school, for example, you can put this system into school. We have the backing of the major keyboard manufacturers. We'll put all the links in there as well, and the backing of the Rock School exam board as well. I was being coy there. We've got the backing of Casio, who will help with putting keyboards into schools, and of course we have the backing of the Rock School exam board from a credentials perspective, who actually refer to it as groundbreaking. They called it the taking music education to the next level. They called it. It was rather kind, wasn't it? That's nice. But yeah, classes of 30 children.
Praise. It's well worthy praise.
It's been humbling, to be honest. But nice feedback. It's what we didn't plan to create something that was all right. We wanted to. The plan was always. In fact, it's even in the lyrics of one of the Rhythm Warrior songs. Reach for the stars, maybe you'll hit the moon. Common phrase, but yeah, absolutely. And we've gone interstellar. Never mind, reach for the stars. It's just it's been phenomenal.
Who knows what's to come next?
Well, funny you should say that, but so there's big plans for Rhythm Warriors, and as it continues to grow and expand. But in a nutshell, if you would like more support for your school in growing student numbers, for an engaging, immersive world of music that will really sort of fire the imaginations of the children and hopefully encourage them into music making for a bigger purpose, not just let's play some tunes, as you've seen from the stuff today. The whole Rhythm Warriors world is not just about let's do some tunes. It's about doing a good thing in life. You can't be in a band if you don't work as a team, and everything that feeds into in life in general. It's about positivity, it's about creativity, it's about doing a good thing, it's about looking after friends and family. It's about really good core strong morals and a really neat ethos just around looking after ourselves, our friends, our family, the planet, And it seems quite convoluted. It sounds like a big thing, but it's actually so.
Once you understand a bit more, that all completely comes together and crystallizes, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
And it's another example of a brilliant brand story, which I'm itching to tell.
Watch
I
this
can't
space.
wait.
Make sure you follow Sam on the socials. Where will we find you, Sam?
Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
Lovely.
So I am the brand fanatic on Facebook and Instagram, and Sam Blakely on LinkedIn.
Check it out. And of course, you can always reach us at Presto Music School or Presto Music Production or at Rhythm Warriors. And of course, the Music School Business Builder System on Facebook. And I must stress, and we say this all the time, none of us are smarter than all of us. Obviously, Presto Music School has a huge amount of experience. We're at nearly 17,000 students that we've taught now, but we're all sponges and we're all learning. Just because we have this level of experience, just because we have all these amazing connections in the music industry around the world, and working with some astonishing companies, we're all still learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you have any observations or points or questions, please do comment below.